There's so many good things happening in here right now. There is more positive stuff. Really? Really? That would be interesting.
Okay, you good?
That'd be awesome over there too.
Ready? Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our city council meeting this evening. We appreciate everybody being here tonight. We're going to get started with our agenda. We're going to do item 4.1. We're going to have a Pledge of Allegiance tonight led by Alan Robbins. You just come up here and, yeah.
Funny how that worked, huh?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Alan. We appreciate that. We're going to move on to item 4.2, City Council comments and recognitions. We're kind of excited tonight. This is our first night, we're a new council together, and we've kind of decided we want to start recognizing some more of our residents. Specifically, I think we're targeting a lot at our youth in the community. We know it's been a rough couple of years for our youth, and so we really want to highlight the accomplishments happening in our community. There's a lot in our community that we want to recognize. So we've got a few groups here tonight, but I will say this to anybody else that's watching: if you have anybody you would like to recognize, please reach out to us. We don't want to miss anybody, so please reach out to us if you're aware of any special accomplishments in the city, and we'll make an effort to recognize that. So with that, we're going to turn, I know Teddy's got one, so I'm going to let Teddy, do you want to start with yours?
Sure. So we started this program, like Lauren said, to recognize not only outstanding members of the community, from business owners, restaurant owners, any individual that's done something extraordinary. And the first easy targets were the high schools to see academic achievements and sports achievements. And we notified and talked to a couple of them. And the first one we want to introduce is from Providence Hall, their cheer team. So if you guys want to come up and tell us about your amazing year. Looks like we've got the principal and the assistant principal here, so that's awesome. Thank you for coming. And yeah, turn the time over to you.
Thank you for having us. My name is Melanie Hyatt, and I coach the cheer and dance teams at Providence Hall. I created a little statement about our story. 7 years ago, I was hired by Providence Hall High to create a dance program for their brand new high school. The growth of this team in such a short time has been tremendous. It is because of hard work, administrative, parent, and community support that the Patriots dance team is succeeding and thriving. Our team is comprised of 12 dancers, including 4 seniors, 3 juniors, 4 sophomores, and 1 freshman. We practice 6 to 8 hours a week and perform a variety of styles, including hip-hop, jazz, funk, contemporary, character, and pom. Performance opportunities and being spirit leaders for Providence Hall has been our first priority. But last year, we decided to throw our hat in the ring and finally give competition a try. In our first attempt as a competitive program, we finished 3rd at region and did not qualify for state. This season, in only our 2nd year competing in the 3A Pom Dance Division, we qualified at region in 2nd place, made some careful adjustments to our routine, and came back to win 1st place at state only 6 days later. This year's win did not come without its challenges. In early December, one of our dancers broke her foot, and we quickly recruited another cheerleader that also danced to step in and take her place. She had to learn the routine we had been working on for months in about 3 weeks. Along with many teams, we also faced the frustrations of COVID wreaking its havoc on our wellness. And the day before Region, we were working to reset our routine that had been choreographed for 10 dancers onto 7 dancers, only to then have one more girl come running in to practice exclaiming, "I'm negative!" So we then competed at Region with 8 and wondered if we would ever be able to perform this routine all together. The day before state, with about half of the team recovering from COVID in one way or another, we finally had our entire team present and were ready to give it our best shot. A few months earlier, I had stopped to chat with our executive director, Nate Marshall, in the hallway, and when he asked how dance team was going, I said, "Honestly, Nate, I think this routine could win state." And as his face lit up, he replied, "Really? That would just be awesome." And I told him, "I don't know, something about it just feels right. And they're looking really good. I think there's a solid chance we'll take it all the way." And we did. I'm beyond proud to say that my prediction came true in spite of the many challenges and detours that we took along the way. Providence Hall may be young and small, but we are mighty. We have arrived. The 3A division sees us, and we are not going away. We will continue to work hard to not only build beautiful dancers, but to build thriving young people who support the values and missions of Providence Hall, to cultivate students who think critically, communicate effectively, and act responsibly. Congratulations, Patriots dance team, on an amazing job, well done and well deserved. If I could take a moment to just introduce the dancers and administrators that are here tonight to help make this accomplished possible. So our principal, Melissa McPhail, is with us, and our assistant principal, Neil Porter. And I have Sophia Christofferson, Bria Sylvester, Marley Rich, Aaliyah Christofferson, Heather Gunderson, Loie Jones, Gabby Wilson, and Vivian Alva Hill. Thank you.
Girls, you want to stay up here? We'd like to get a picture with you, if we could.
Where do we go?
Let's come right up here.
Sorry.
Yeah, he'll be good. Okay. All right, 1, 2, 3. All right. Okay.
Congratulations,
Congratulations, guys.
Thank you so much. Okay, the next group I think we have tonight is our Mountain Ridge High School girls wrestling team. If you guys, if any of you girls are coming, if you're here, come forward and your coaches. And you're Brandon, I'm assuming, right? Yep. So Brandon and I have been talking. Do you want me to read this? Are you okay with this?
Yeah.
Or do you want to read it? You got it? Or do you want me to read it?
You can read it.
Do you want me to read it? Okay, Brandon sent this over. It says, the Mountain Ridge High School girls wrestling team just finished up their highly successful inaugural season in February. With a team of 13 girls, most of which were first-year wrestlers, they surprised everyone by taking 4th overall in the 6A state tournament. Through hard work, determination, team grit, and forming a great team atmosphere where they could have fun and lean on each other for support, they were able to establish themselves as one of the best teams in the state and look forward to continuing their success next year. Individually, they had 13 girls qualify for state and 6 girls placed at state this year. This includes Ava Newland. Is Ava here? Raise your hand if you're here. Ava Newland and Cedar Curtis, who took 6th. Janessa Brown and Abby Griffith, who placed 5th at state.
Wait, raise your hand if that's you.
Kate Ashton, who placed 4th. And Kate McNeil, who placed 1st in state, a state champion. So congrats to the Mountain Girls. And the last thing Brandon said is, congratulations, Mountain Ridge Girls Wrestling, for the great example you have set and the hard work you have put in to make this a memorable year. Congratulations, girls. Very well done. So.
All right, everybody smile. 1, 2, 3.
One more. Congratulations, girls.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank you. Okay, I think we have one more group tonight. The next group is the Mountain Ridge High School boys wrestling team. If you guys want to come forward, and your coaches. Are you Mitchell?
I am.
This is Coach Stevens. I've got the name, so if you want to take a minute and
I appreciate it. Unfortunately, some of our kids were not able to make it tonight. I've got one at a recruiting trip in Virginia to wrestle Greco-Roman at a university in Michigan, and I've got some heading out to Virginia Beach to go to a national tournament, so we're missing a few tonight, but we appreciate you inviting us. We have a few of our state placers here with us tonight. As a team, we took 6th place as a team. Last year, we took 4th place, and so we're right there in the top 10 as far as a team. We won the region championship this year, our first year in 6A, so we won the region championship, which was a neat thing for our kids to experience. We had, I'll talk about the kids that aren't here first, and then I'll talk about the couple state places that are here. Lane Kleiman, he was a Greco-Roman national champion this last summer, so he takes his wrestling pretty serious, and he was a freshman state champion, undefeated in the state of Utah. His only losses coming to out-of-state foes. So at a tournament in Reno, Nevada, he had a loss to a couple California kids, and he had one loss to a really top-level wrestler in Idaho at a major tournament. Kyson Garcia is also a state champion. Last year, he actually took 3rd place. He would be a 3-time state champion up to this point. He broke his leg last year and wrestled the state championship with a cast on his leg instead of deciding to. A lot of kids would have hung it up at that point and decided, hey, I'm done. You know, this is a bad injury. You know, his dad's a physical therapist. They got a special cast. We padded it up, and he went out and took 3rd place. He also, something he doesn't talk a lot about, but he's faced a lot of adversity. His freshman year, his mother passed away right at the start of the wrestling season. And his dad is also one of our coaches, and, you know, he's a great wrestler. He's being recruited by a lot of Ivy League schools and a lot of Big Ten schools right now throughout the country. So he's, I think, ended up the top wrestler in the state, ranked #1 overall of any kid in the state of Utah this year. So top-level wrestler. Let's see, we got Jackson Bearden, who took 5th place this year, is at a recruiting visit in Virginia. And he is a senior this year, a 3-time state placer, so a very good wrestler, a great leader in our community. His parents are awesome leaders as well, and helped us out a lot. They do a lot in the community. Then we go on, Cody Stewart is a senior, and he took 4th place this year. He took 4th place last year as well, as a senior. He had opportunities to wrestle in college. I think he got academic scholarship, and so he is, I think he's going to pursue an academic scholarship. It ended up being more money, so I think he's going to go that route. But he took 4th place this year in state. Then we move on over here to Hunter Sanchez, and he was a state placer, took 5th place at 106 pounds this year. And he is a junior this year, did an excellent job. Then I got this one over here, Preston Stevens. He took 6th place this year. He took 3rd place last year. In fact, last year he unseated a kid going for his 4th state title and pinned him as a freshman. And so that was a pretty good feat for last year. And we have 2 of our other wrestlers here that came with us. I felt bad missing so many kids, so I drug a couple more up. And I was going to start dragging parents and other coaches, but they're like, no, I'm not going up there. So I'm sorry that we're missing some of our kids. But Justin Thomas, and you have Vincent Sanchez. I almost called him Garcia. Sanchez that came up with us. So we had an outstanding year. We expect to have good things to come next year as well. I think we'll have some top-level wrestlers. We'll definitely have some state champs and some state placers next year. So we've got a good program. I just want to say, more than being good wrestlers, I pride myself in making sure the kids and wanting to be good in the community and wanting to be good individuals. And so we have some outstanding kids that as well take their GPAs really seriously. We've got some 4.0, some 3.9 students, and so I think that's something to be very proud of as well, besides the wrestling, and they're good kids in school. So thank you for inviting us. We appreciate that a lot.
Thank you, Coach.
Oh, I thought you guys are welcome to come up. If you guys want to come up. How are you? Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach.
Hey, thanks for inviting us.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Go closer if you like. All right. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Thank
Thank you, guys. I love it.
I think we set the bar pretty high, that first recognition team, so.
Yes, thank you, and congratulations. Thanks for coming out, you guys.
Awesome.
Okay, with that, we'll move on to item 5, which is our public.
Mr. Mayor, just one
Oh,
more
sorry.
thing for
Yes,
recognition.
sorry. Yes.
If I can, I just wanted to give a public shout out to Sergeant Ben Ricks and Canine Officer Dawa for their awesome performance. First time at the competition. This is a pretty big, stiff competition down in Vegas down there. And we got first place in two events and second place in 2 other events as a rookie competitor. That's just incredible. And if you didn't get a chance to see it, KSL 5 did an interview with Sergeant Ricks. Alex Cabrero did it, and man, it just touched my heart.
Cool story. Yep.
Think about the the sacrifice of Hondo and the special bond that exists between the officer and the canine. And we are very grateful for Sergeant Ricks and for the hard work he does. And we're grateful for Davo and his achievements as well. We're glad to have him here and for the good work they do in our community. So congratulations, Davo and Sergeant Ricks. So.
Absolutely. Thank you, Steve. Sorry, I didn't mean to move ahead. You're fine. You're right. Anybody else? Any other recognitions? Okay, thank you. Now we'll move on to item 5, public comment. And just, I'll read this here. Audience members may bring any item to the city council's attention. Comments will be limited to 2 minutes. State law prohibits the council from acting on items that do not appear on the agenda. Public comments for this meeting will also be conducted electronically. Any person interested in addressing the council may submit a comment by emailing recorder@harriman.org or by visiting harriman.org/agendas and minutes, where there's a link to fill out an online public comment form. Your statement will be incorporated into the public record. So far tonight I have 2 comment forms. The first is Paige Norton.
Hi, how are y'all? I'm Paige Norton. Am I supposed to say my address?
No.
Okay, great.
I've been told not to now.
Oh, okay, great.
We all know where you live.
Okay, that's fine. Stop on by. I'll make you a scone. I just wanted to quickly, I emailed all of you to your city council email addresses, just the link to the C.R. Hamilton Pavilion that Riverton City has. So in a previous life, I did wedding flowers and event planning for like 20 years. And I just really would love to see Harriman City get an event center like this. And you really can't even call it an event center. It really is just a shell. But I feel like we can take the things that Riverton City did in theirs and maybe learn from some of the things that they did or didn't do and have a place like that. It's really hard because really every city needs a C.R. Hamilton Pavilion somewhere. It's just a great option for families that maybe don't have the budget to rent a huge reception hall that requires you to use their food and their invitations and things like that. It really adds up, and it's just a real need for families. And the nice thing is that it's small enough that people can rent it for just family events like Christmas parties and things like that. When they first opened the C.R. Hamilton Pavilion, they were renting it for, it was like $50 for half a day and $200 for a full day. And it is so busy. It's booked out months in advance now, and they've like quadrupled the prices, and it doesn't even slow people down because it's still a significant savings from having to go somewhere else. And so it's just a really great option. I think it could be a really great moneymaker for Harriman City, and it's something that doesn't require a lot of babysitting. You'll see in the packet that I emailed to you that there's, they have to pay a deposit, a security deposit, and then there's a list that's left for whoever rents it that they have to clean it to a specific level. And so I just would really recommend that we look at some sort of an option like that for Harriman residents.
Thanks, Paige. Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, the next public comment form I have is from Kenny Alton.
Kenny Alton, good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'd like to request to continue our discussion from the release of easement on Belmont Park Avenue, west of that street. I'd like to talk about it. I don't think that we were able to get our story across as neighbors to the City Council. The city staff had recommendations to release that easement at the time, but I'd like to readdress it and get that on the agenda so we can discuss it more. So that's all I have.
Perfect.
All right, thank you so
Kenny.
much.
I appreciate it. Okay, at this time we'll open it to any other public comments this evening.
Hi, my name is Greg Metzger. A couple of years ago, the state passed a golf cart ordinance.
Sorry, we say
Yeah.
your name one more time.
What's that? Greg Metzger. The state passed a golf cart ordinance, HB 184, back in 2020 that essentially allows different cities and municipalities to create their own golf cart ordinances, right? I was under the impression that it was legal to operate a golf cart in the city until one nice officer told me and my son that it was not legal. So we called to figure out what we needed to do. And what I was told was that because the city technically does not have an ordinance, that it is not legal. So in order for it to be legal, the city would have to pass an ordinance. So I wanted to at least bring that to your attention. There are 2 cities in the state that have passed ordinances, Centerville, and then I think it's Elk Ridge is the other one. So I know that there's probably some inherent challenges with that, but I do think that there are things that could be done to mitigate any potential risks, whether that's having, particular classes, limiting the age, limiting the speed, limiting the streets. You're not going to be, driving up and down Rosecrest with it. That would not make sense. But I think there's a lot of things that we could do because there's a lot of people driving golf carts all over the place, so it would make sense to try to organize that and have it efficient. It would be great if I could send my 12 and 14-year-old boys to go mow lawns down the street, throw it on the golf cart and call it good, right? But we want to make sure that we're doing things the right way. So I would at least like to put that in your guys' court. I'm not quite sure what we need to do to further that dialogue, but we at least wanted to put that on everyone's agenda to be able to discuss. Okay?
Perfect.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Okay, seeing no further public comment tonight, we will move on to item 6. Any city council board and committee reports tonight?
Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I was able to go with the youth council up to their, you didn't talk about it. I read your post about it.
Nope.
Up to Utah State University for the leadership conference. It was excellent. Every year I'm again reminded of the amazing youth that we have in our community and the potential that they have for leaders and leadership and just the good that's in them. So I'm grateful for that opportunity. The mayor was able to join us for part of that and to experience just the great kids that we have. And I'm thankful for the Utah State and for their facilitating this conference and just the opportunities these kids have to learn different workshops about being leaders and how to be involved in civics in our community and to get involved and make a difference. Our youth council, I'm going to forget the day, and Destiny's not in here. I want to say it's May 15th that our applications are due. So if anybody in the public have youth from 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade that would like to participate this next year, please have them fill out an application and be part of that process. And we don't turn anyone away. So if any of your youth are interested in just really understanding more about just the process here, and it's more than just even about city government. It's about just training them to be leaders in their community and having impact in the community. So I would put that plug out there to have kids participate in that program. I just drove straight here from St. George a few minutes ago from a water conference that they were having. The Utah Water Users Conference was this weekend. Justin was down there too. It's good to see you. And learn a lot about water. Again, it's just the story is the same. This year is a little better than last year in that our ground is saturated going into the winter, so that will help with runoff. So we might get a little runoff, but again, it continues to be the same issue. One thing that was an aha moment for me, water is, they look at it in 30-year glumps. So then at the end of that 30-year period, then they adjust averages and medians to whatever that 30-year period was. And so that has just ended, and some of those things have adjusted. And so I just wanted to know, I wonder what the difference is, because we all understand it's in the news constantly about Great Salt Lake and how it's declining, things like that. And I was wondering what the impact of growth could possibly have in contributing to that. And I am not a scientist nor an engineer, so I can't tell you all the actual facts behind it, but I looked up that same 30-year period in our state. So I was curious, I can feel the growth, and I know that there's growth. When I get on the roads, I know that there's growth, or when I go to a store, I know that there's growth. When I drive around, I can see houses that I know that there's growth, but I was curious, and I've just never paid attention enough, I guess, to really know exactly what the numbers were. So I looked up the population in Utah in 1990 was 1,700,000 people, 1.7. Well, as of 2020, well, today it's 3.3 million. So we've essentially doubled. It's 1.6 million people have came here in that last 30 years. So it's doubled in that, in my mind, short amount of time. And so then I did a quick calculation. The average person uses about 237 gallons of water a day. Sounds like a lot, huh? And they're trying to do, in the conservation, get them down to using only 207 gallons a day. So regardless, if I just said about 230 gallons a day, if 1.6 million extra people are using 230 gallons a day, that's 387,200,000 gallons of water a day that we're using extra that we weren't using 30 years ago. So I'm sure that has an impact on water that's going in all kinds of places, including the Great Salt Lake. So my point in this is that if we want to continue to grow, and I've talked to lots of different legislators and had lots of different conversations about this, about wanting our children to be able to live here and things like that, but if we want to continue to grow, we have to understand that 387 million gallons a day is a lot of water, and so we all just have to continue to do our part to minimize the impact that we have on that finite resource that we have. So I would encourage you, as we're again going into spring, there's landscaping projects to do. A lot of people have new homes, putting in backyards, those types of things. Make sure you're taking advantage of the resources we have at the conservation garden. The district has lots of online classes that you can take. You can take classes in person, you can take them online. Things are free. You can apply for grants to flip strips and design your new backyard. All those types of things are available to you to try and, again, help shrink the footprint that we have in water, in landscape water primarily, so that it continues to be available for not only culinary use, but agricultural use. We have about 73% of the water right now is diverted to agriculture, but a huge chunk of that water goes back into the grounds, into the aquifer. And the part that's used is utilized to grow food, and so, which is important. But we don't have any other water to convert, so we have to utilize that water from agriculture if we continue to grow people, unless we start conserving that water. And I like to eat. It's important, I think. So it's important to understand that we need that component in our state also. So that's water. And then other one is garbage. Sorry. Big celebration yesterday, and a big thanks to the Salt Lake County Council for voting to change the Wasatch Front Waste and Recycling to a local district. We'll no longer be a special district, and we'll be a local district. And really thanks to them, it just simple terms, it just simply eliminates a whole level of bureaucracy that was super unnecessary, and it makes the people who are making decisions closer to the people that are affected to it and more accountable in reality. So that was several years in the making that finally happened and came to fruition. So I'm grateful to the Salt Lake County Council for approving that unanimously yesterday. And that is my long speech.
Thanks, Sherry. Eddie, I know you've got.
Two quick things. A quick thanks and shout out to Camp Williams. We went for a tour there. Was it yesterday? It's been a long day. So we got to tour the facility and interact with how we can continue to be great neighbors and how they can support us and we can support them. So thank you for them. And then the sewer board, we met just yesterday morning as well, but we had an opportunity to tour that facility with some staff members and the mayor and I, and it was impressive. If you haven't been there or you think you know what a sewer facility looks like or smells like, this is nothing like you ever imagine. It's a state-of-the-art facility. You can stand literally 4 feet above it of all the raw sewage coming in, and you can't even smell it. That's how amazing this facility is. The facility actually just won one of the major awards for their biosolids program. The ACEC gave them the Grand Award, which is very coveted for facilities such as this. They've done a lot of work and research on how to take their waste and make it more efficient and usable. And so their biosolids, we just approved a contract for a local company to use it for soil enrichment and embedments for a farmer, rancher, and we actually extricate the water out of it that goes back into the Jordan River, and it flows up to the Salt Lake. So the sewer board is, anything that goes down the drain is going to be efficiently taken care of and put into the sewer system, back into the water system. And their effluent water is cleaner than the actual Jordan River water, as you can see it going in. It's amazing. I would drink that before I drink the Jordan River water. They do have about 15 million gallons a day of processed water that comes through there. We went through a legislature update. We looked at impact fees reduction in the Draper South Mountain area, in the Timpanogos area, due to some local agreements that are going to be changing and shifting with special service districts and whatnot as well. And then we talked a lot about our boundary and our extensions of our boundary of what, with, and when the west side develops, and even south side. There's a couple areas that aren't in our boundaries. So that's something the city's going to have to look at for areas as we annex or expand outside our current city limits or outside of the sewer district limits of what we want them to do and what they should do. And we all need to get some direction from our own department and staff on that. So that's my updates.
Thank you. Steve, anything tonight?
Yeah, the only one I've got is mosquito abatement district. I've said this before. I thought this was like not the most important assignment. I have been so fascinated by the stuff that I'm learning at this board. It is amazing the things that are being done. Just like technology is changing so many other things in our world, the application of technology towards mosquito abatement is incredible. Just some reports we got from the recent Mosquito Control Association meeting down in Florida. They have been doing some tests with these genetically modified mosquitoes that aren't able to reproduce, so they release these sterile males kind of out into the population, and they breed with females, but then nothing happens, so there's no more babies, and it's really great. They have some new machines that kind of puts an X-ray or some radiation on male mosquitoes that they release. Again, they're sterilized, so it helps control things. One of the things they're talking about is important. They set up traps all around the area, and then they go out and they look in the traps. They sort out the different mosquitoes by their breeds and the counts, and they're trying to figure out what certain breeds carry certain diseases or are more prone to carry certain diseases or pathogens. And so they try and get all that data to predict where they need to go concentrate their control efforts. And they're saying that there's a new iPhone app that you can basically take all the mosquitoes, put them in a pile, and take a picture of it, and it'll tell you what their breeds are and how many of them there are just from an iPhone scan. It's just incredible the stuff that they're doing. But the good thing about all of this is that they're getting better data and can do better statistical modeling of how certain diseases have kind of up years and down years and how those are going and stuff. So that's good news that we can model it better. The bad news is, and this is kind of the update, is the models are predicting that this summer there's going to be a pretty substantial higher number of West Nile virus cases. So we just want to encourage everybody to be on the lookout, use appropriate spray, and keep yourselves covered as much as you can out there. But the good news is that with some of these new technologies, there's potentially less need and less use for any kind of insecticides or adulticides of any kind. We just think that that's a cleaner, nicer way to do it, but we're really safe with the ones that we use, and we're very happy with the results we get, but it's always nice to know that there's might be other alternatives out there. Just a couple of pieces of information that we got from a legislative update that we haven't talked about as the council of the city that I think we might just want to run by is HB 22 that updated some things on the OPMA. A new policy for how a quorum is calculated for electronic meetings, that kind of stuff, how non-unanimous votes have to be roll call votes if you have people remote. So just some things I think we might want to review and update in our internal policy. And then HB 96 increased the fees that can be charged for grandma requests. And so I just want to make sure that, I know we just had a huge request. We were made known about like 1,100 pages of information and data stuff. So I just want to make sure that those fees are appropriate for the amount of time and effort that staff's putting into gathering that information. So, but outside of that, the last note is, if any of you know Gene Drake on the Mosquito Abatement Board, he has served on that board for 25 years. So they just celebrated his 25th year on that board. It's just amazing to think that I would have never imagined that, but now I can't imagine not being on that board. It's so much fun, so much great information. Really glad for all they do, so. That's it.
Thank you, Steve. Jared, do you have anything tonight? Okay, I'll be brief. I just want to mention we had a regional growth committee meeting that kind of touches on the, handling growth responsibly, I would say, in the valley. Harriman was awarded what they call the TLC grant, which is a big deal. We actually doubled the amount that we applied. Really, finally, I think we've done a great job at bringing Harriman into focus at the state level, and so that'll help bring some funding on some infrastructure needs to the city, and so that's a huge. So thank you to our staff that worked on that to help secure that grant. Okay, with that, we'll move on to the consent agenda and look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as written.
I'll second.
Motion by Sherry, second by Steve. Jared?
Yes.
Teddy?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. Before I forget, I didn't mention this at the beginning, Jackie. We are striking 8.4 from the agenda tonight. We just will not be addressing that tonight. So I should have mentioned that at the beginning, and I missed it. Okay, move on to item 8. 8.1 are discussion and action items. First one, discussion and consideration of a recommendation to amend Chapter 1016 of City Code to allow medical services as a permitted use.
Good evening, council, and thank you. This is an item that you were briefed on in a January work meeting, and at which time you had asked staff to do some additional research on some parking ratios. So we just wanted to go through this presentation quickly and talk about the previous concerns identified by the City Council. Again, this is a change to our C2 commercial zone specific to medical services. Our current code said that medical services is a conditional use in the C2 zone. We've been using 6 parking stalls per doctor's office. As we've discussed previously, one of the challenges is that some of our medical service providers may not have an actual doctor. There are other types of medical services being provided, and they may claim, well, we don't have a doctor in this medical service. So we've been having some problems sometimes assessing what's the parking requirement for that type of use. And then the amendments that are being considered tonight is that we're proposing to change medical services to a permitted use. Again, talking about changing how we're calculating parking requirements. And then we've also expanded or clarified the definition of medical use in the zoning ordinance. So here in our land use table, of course, this is just an excerpt from that table. You can see we're proposing to change that from a conditional to permitted, which is the P. Here's the change on that parking. Instead of 6 spaces per doctor's office, now it's 1 space per 200 square feet of floor area. We showed you previously that was pretty comparable to other cities around us. Some were higher, some were lower. Your concern was whether or not that was sufficient. And so even though it's apples to oranges, it's a different way of calculating the space. We tried to standardize what the yield from our parking requirement. So currently, where we would typically require 6 parking spaces under the current ordinance, the new ordinance would generate 7.76 parking spaces. Now, so you might think, well, that's a burden. That's an additional requirement that we're asking our medical service providers to deliver when developing that type of use in the city. However, what you're seeing in this third column is that they are over parking by choice. Now, we actually looked at all of our medical services in the city, and on average, we're actually getting 19 parking stalls, where we would typically only require 6, or in this new code, 8. So it clearly, even though this may yield a higher parking requirement overall on average, the marketplace is over providing. Again, this is the modification of that medical services in the city. So the recommendation is that this proposal does meet our standards of the city. The Planning Commission voted to recommend this amendment to you, 6-0. Be glad to answer any of your questions. Of course, the council always has the option to approve, deny, modify, or continue the request if you feel like you need additional information.
Thank you, Michael. Any comments or concerns from council?
Does this bring anybody out of compliance, changing this?
It could. However, again, they would be grandfathered. They'd be legal non-conforming. That's a possibility. There may be some. You saw in one of the attachments in your report, there's some of the medical services are a little bit smaller. They're not all large doctor's offices, so. But it wouldn't have any type of impact on enforcement or anything like that. It wouldn't impact their ability to relicense or, to do any of those, how they would operate their business. It wouldn't affect that.
Okay, look for a motion then.
Motion to approve ordinance number 2022-11, amending Title 10 of the Harriman City Code to permit medical services in the C2 zone, modify the parking schedule, and amend the definition of medical services.
Motion by Steve.
Second.
Second by Teddy. Steve?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
Teddy?
Yes.
Jared?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. That motion carries.
That almost sounded
Thank
like
you.
royalty when I said it that way, right?
You did sound like royalty, King.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, move on to item 8.2, a discussion and consideration of a reimbursement agreement with Midas Crossing for storm drain trunk line. Jonathan?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. What you're looking at here is a reimbursement agreement. Well, it was in the staff report. John's going to throw up an exhibit for us that'll summarize the improvements. So this is a reimbursement agreement for installed infrastructure. It's stuff that's already been installed for the Midas Crossing Phase 1 and Phase 2 development projects. And now, these improvements that you're looking at, and you can see there's a secondary water line that's 10 inches and a 60-inch storm drain trunk line that's in purple. The water line is tied to the Phase 2, and the storm drain trunk line is tied to Phase 1. Both of these improvements are system improvements, but they are not impact fee eligible, and I'm happy to dive into that a little bit as to the reason why. It's in the staff report, but happy to iterate that. So I'm just going to I want to explain just a little bit the benefit of the system overall. The storm drain trunk line, the 60-inch line, that serves to alleviate some capacity in the undersized pond by Maverick, affectionately known as the Maverick Pond, at least that's what I call it, to actually divert flows up north to a planned regional detention facility and then discharge into Midas Creek. So then we would be discharging as opposed to retaining. So this piece right here that has been installed is this, again, it's a 60-inch pipe, it's the first leg of that installment. Now, I think it's beneficial to point out The developer, if this improvement was not necessary for the city, they would have needed an 18-inch storm drain pipe. Similarly, the 8-inch secondary water line that was installed, if that was not, again, required by the city for their system improvement, similar to the storm drain infrastructure, that was a benefit for the city. But if, again, that wasn't necessitated, it would have been a 6-inch for the developer. So the reimbursement agreement that you're looking at least in concept for now, would be only for reimbursement for the upsize or the additional cost that would have been above those sizes. So the cost is $80,000 for the water line, and that would be a not-to-exceed price. We don't have a hard cost on that one, but that's based on our master plan numbers. Again, that would be a not-to-exceed and for the upsize only. And that would come from the Water Enterprise Fund. Again, it's not water impact fee eligible. Again, then the storm drain, it would be $176,680. We have a pretty more dialed in cost on that one. Again, that reflects the upsize cost. And because this solves an existing deficiency, it is not, again, eligible for storm drain impact fees and would be proposed we pay for it with storm drain enterprise. I've teed up Alan in case there's some additional questions on the integrity of those funds, in case there's some questions there. But the total cost burden, essentially, for those would be the summation of those, which is about $260,000. So again, it's on for discussion today. Depending on the feedback or whatnot, we'd come before you again for a decision. So, any questions?
What is your recommendation to move forward in this direction?
It is.
Has this been budgeted, or are we going to have to do a budget amendment?
What I would propose is that we include this as part of the upcoming fiscal year. It is not budgeted for this current fiscal year.
My suggestion, if it meant that we had to do an amendment.
We don't have to open up budget.
This work's already been done and accomplished, obviously, because there's development on that property.
That's correct.
I'm good with it.
Me too.
Sounds like you're good to
Well,
go.
then, okay, we'll come
That all
back
you
next
need?
city
Is that-
council.
okay.
Perfect, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Jonathan. Okay, we'll move on to item 8.3, discussion and consideration of a proposed amendment to the official zoning map for property located generally at 12823 South, 6300 West, from 11.75 acres of A1 to R110.
Thank you. And as the council is aware, this is a privately initiated application. The applicant, Brett Lovell, is here tonight and, of course, would like to make a comment or answer any of your questions following my presentation. This is an item that has been reviewed by the Planning Commission and has been recommended to the City Council for approval. Subject property map just showing you approximate location within the city where this rezone is proposed. The rezone is from as mentioned, is from an A1 to an R110, and that is consistent with the general plan, which is encouraging low-density residential. We always look at the general plan and the zoning ordinance for compliance on these amendments. Again, the background on this, the property is currently zoned A1. The general plan encourages a density range maximum of 2.5 units per acre. And as you can see, this is also adjacent to the recently annexed Olympia development. So with the general plan recommendation of the 2.5 units per acre, the Planning Commission also recommended as part of the rezone that you attach or include a zoning condition, which is allowed by our land use regulation, to have a maximum of 2.5 units per acre. So again, the finding of the Planning Commission is that this request is consistent with the character of surrounding properties, and it does not have an adverse effect on residential properties that surround the property, the proposal. As stated previously, you have the option of approving this application. You may deny the application if you find that it is not consistent with the general plan or zoning policies of the city, or you may continue the item if you wish to have additional research or time to consider the request. Any questions of staff before we hear from Mr. Lovell?
I just one question more out of curiosity than any real application. We've had this ongoing discussion about the difference between A.25 and R110, right? What was the reasoning to decide on the R110 as opposed to an A.25 request at this point?
So within the current general plan, there is agricultural properties that are identified in the land use map, and there's residential properties that are identified. So when it's agriculture, then we're encouraging our applicants to apply for an 8.25 or 8.5, whatever the density is appropriate. But if it's low-density residential, then that's signaling you should be applying or looking at an R zone, some type of an R zone.
This is just consistent with the general plan.
General plan.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep. I can just put this back for reference if you'd like, a map.
Okay.
Thank you, council. We're really excited to be able to hear our application tonight. We're excited to be developing in Harriman again and continuing to offer great product. We're just excited about the density, single family. We think it will be served great in the community. Wide lots that we can do great product on. So if you have any questions, I'm right here and excited to talk to you guys. Thank you for consideration tonight.
Thanks, Brett. Michael, I might say too, I think there was do you want to address that email we got? I mean, this is.
Yeah.
'Cause I
I think I forwarded it to everybody, resident that lives nearby, and full disclosure, this is my neighborhood. My house was directly affected by this as well, but I just want to make sure I read this in because the resident did not comment during public comment, but I might make sure that these comments are in there. This email basically says he lives on, this is from Chuck Roberts, lives on 6000 West in Harriman. He found out last minute about this. I hope I summarized this properly rather than reading verbatim the email as I've circulated it to everyone already. But main concerns are the amount of traffic that it would bring through. So not only does it connect to Olympia Hills, but then it has the cross streets, if you look at those different maps, that will connect directly to the Old Town sections, subdivisions right there. I had requested information from the engineer and the city manager to give to Mr. Roberts, which we did. I'll read my response. Just so you guys know, have that. I don't know if I sent you that. Let's see. I said, well, I've consistently fought and voted against the density of the developments to the west, including voting against annexing Olympia Hills into Harriman. I do agree with the city engineer in his response that the road has always been planned in this area, meaning Silver Sky Drive connecting to up to 6400 and being a minor collector. It will bring more traffic down through there, but it is, we all know the issues with road connectivity. And right now we really only have 2 roads in and out of town. And to think that to force people to go up and around and force all traffic onto one, I mean, all the traffic studies show us that this connection is needed, but maybe put Blake on the spot with the connections to the Old Town sections. If you wouldn't mind maybe speaking to that for a second.
So what specifically are you looking for?
If those have been in the plan as well, your response, at least as I read it, was directed more towards Silver Sky Drive, that's always been in the plans going west, which will now connect to Olympia, et cetera. But it shows the cross street, I forget which one it is, going over to Old Town, right?
Yeah, and 6100's right
Because
there,
I
too.
think that's a legitimate concern. I mean, even though those roads have been stubbed and obviously left to connect to something, I mean, things have developed in a way that I don't think any of us, at least the reason I'm here is because I'm not happy with the way things have been developed. What kind of impact will those residents see?
There'll definitely be an increase in traffic. The roads like, I think Starlight and those roads are just your typical local roads that would tie in to a minor collector such as this, which we've seen on Rose Canyon Road and roads such as that. I think the biggest impact will be the intersection of 6,000 and Silver Sky. That's going to be two collectors meeting up with each other. And the master plan contemplates 6,000 being widened to 3 lanes and Silver Sky being 3 lanes. And so it'll be a stop sign for the minor leg, which will be Silver Sky, because it'll be a 3-legged intersection. And you'll see an increase in wait times in PM and AM peak hours, but I think during the day, your typical traffic, just typical growth. So it's always been contemplated and expected here. We just don't have all the infrastructure in yet, but at some point in time, we will have all the infrastructure that will accommodate that.
Perfect. And that was one of the other comments that Chuck made in his emails. He's concerned that that will force 6,000 to be widened, which will take some of his yard, et cetera. And the response to that is that that's always been the plan. I mean, 6,000 will be rebuilt and it will be widened to that 3 lanes, whether this was ever connected or not. And I'm fighting with every breath, as everyone here knows, to the point that I drive everybody crazy, that 6,000 needs to be done. That needs to be done. So, I mean, having said that, I just want to make sure I addressed all of those concerns if the resident wasn't able to be here or comment, and have him know that we've circulated that, we've gotten the information, but that really both of those roads have been planned, and 6,000 especially, that has to happen. For most of the models that I've seen, yes, it will increase some coming down Silver Sky. I don't know that it really, any of the models really show a lot of increase through Starlight, is it not? Yeah, Starlight into the old town right there. I mean, it's not really on the way anywhere or a shortcut, et cetera, nor the other direction on Starlight through my neighborhood. I mean, it's really not. It'll take more time to take that rather than just straight down to 6,000 or up to 6,400, right? Which will really is the main collector that will take most of that traffic from Olympia Hills to 126. It'll be faster for most of those people there. If anything, I see this as a way for most of us to get up to the schools that are being built there, if that makes sense. That's all I've got. You know, if I missed something as you guys look through all that.
Have you looked into those road connections and your planning around those road connections and the width of those roads of?
Yes, we are, and with any subdivision, I'm sure it will be the same in Harriman that it's been in the past. We'll have Hills Engineering do a traffic study at our preliminary application, so.
And then obviously connecting into the future Olympia Hills area, I mean,
yes,
you're close to that border.
Yeah, we anticipated we'd be stubbing into that. Obviously, any design standards or recommendation by Jonathan or Blake or any of the engineering staff will be designed.
And I might remind, like, this is just a rezone tonight. Like, we're not worried about roads tonight necessarily. I mean, these are good points, but we're just talking rezone, right? The rest of the plan has to come back through the plat, and everything will have to come back through
Correct.
the planning commission.
We will be filing a preliminary plat application shortly after the zone change.
Yep.
Is there any other questions while I'm up here, council? Thank you.
I've got, commend Brett. When Brett reached out, his initial plan was to look at townhomes. And Brett knows I immediately shot that down, and so I appreciate him being willing to work and come back with a single-family project.
I would have made sure there were like 500 people in here tonight to
I'm just saying, I think this is a needed fit in the community, so I appreciate you being willing to kind of fit in with the need there, so.
And not even the community, the whole state needs housing like this.
Missing middle.
Yep.
That's the missing middle, yes. Okay, I'll look for a motion then.
And I'll show good faith, make a motion to approve ordinance number 2022-12, amending the Harriman City zoning map for 11.75 acres of property located at 12823 South, 6300 West from A1 to R110 residential with the zoning condition as specified in the staff report.
Motion by Jared,
Second?
second by Sherry. Steve?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
Teddy?
Yes.
Jared?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. That motion carries. Thank you, Brett.
Sorry that took so long.
Yeah.
Just had to wait for that whole meeting.
He texted me and asked me what time. I said 7:15, so I was off by an hour.
Close.
Poor daughter.
I know, that's why she came too.
It's good, civic.
Okay, that brings to a close our general meeting tonight, so I will look for a motion to return to our work session. And then how does this work? I never know how this works. When you gotta go to work and then. Oh, future meetings, yes, thank you. Future meetings,
All the recognition stuff should be done at the end of future meetings, so all those people have to sit through all of this.
No kidding. Future meetings, next Wednesday, joint city council planning commission meeting at 6. April 7th, planning commission meeting at 7 o'clock. April 13th, city council work meeting at 5:30 and the general meeting at 7. The Harriman Basket Dash on the 9th at Butterfield Park. And with that, I'll look for a motion to, Jackie, how do we do this? Somebody tell me how to do this.
I'll make a motion to leave regular council meeting and reconvene in work meeting.
Motion by Sherry.
Second.
Second by Steve. Steve?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yep.
Teddy?
Yes.
Jared?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, we'll return to our work.
It's all flat now.
Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight.
I never finish them.
Got a little out of hand on the word.
Every morning I get up, I jump.
Good on the what?
Got a little hand.
Oh, a little out of hand, but
Whatever gets you through, man.
I was dragging today at like 2 o'clock. I'm like,
Whatever gets you through.
today.
Absolutely.
All that stuff.